Hi, and welcome to Resilience Live, episode 18. Today, we are going to be talking all about letting go of resentment and freeing your heart. And I'm going to give it, as always, a couple of minutes. In that couple of minutes, I will share with you what's going on with my face in case you notice, or maybe you don't notice. I had dentist this morning and they're like, oh, we can use a little bit of general anesthetic here. And I said, cool, sure, why not? And I've only ever had that done once before, very mild, very quick. And I thought I'll be fine by the time I do this live stream. My face will be back to life, but it hasn't happened. So I can't feel this part of my face. I can't use it very well. I can talk, obviously, but my face is a bit lopsided, and I'm very self-conscious about how I look. So for me to come on here with a lopsided, anesthetized face is quite something. Oh, hello, my beauties. Leah says hello. Good to see you too, darling. Thanks for joining. I was just saying, I went to dentist this morning and they used some general anesthetic, and my face is still numb. Yeah, and it was hilarious, man. Like I've only had it done once before, and it's not. I don't remember it being this strong, and I don't remember it lasting very long. And it's only been done for an hour. She only did it like an hour and a bit ago. But like I was trying to put my lipstick on, and I'm like, I can't function. And then I was, you know, when you rinse your mouth out with the water and with the rinse stuff at the end, I was like, put the rinse in my mouth, and then I started rinsing, and then it just started dribbling out of my mouth. I was like, why is it on my top? I was trying really hard to rinse. I was like, why is it all over me? And then, and I thought it was me, and I tried again, and I was just like, it just kept coming out of my mouth. And then I realised, oh, it's because your face is numb. So, yes, that was eventful. Saliha says you're just fine. Well, you know, Saliha, thank you, darling. I realised my brain's not numb. At least I don't think it is. So I can continue to talk. So even with my half-numb face, I'm here. I'm showing up because that's what you call dedication for your truth. I'm a little paranoid that this isn't going to go away and I'm going to have this lopsided face, which I shouldn't joke about because obviously that's a very real issue that people have in their lives with certain illnesses. But it should wear off in a little while. And my nose, man, my nose feels weird, everything. I can't, I'm getting over it. I'm over it now. It is what it is and it will wear off. So on that note, let's get kicking into today's topic, episode 18. I'm a little bit late today. Oh, it's 11/11 today, 11th of November, 11/11. 11/11/22. Does that mean I like the 11/11? If you know, you know. Number alignments are interesting. But yes, maybe it's a very powerful day today. I don't know. Do you feel any power in the energy in the air? I'm not sure. I'm just very tired, to be honest. But I'm going to get cracking on today's topic, which is all about resentment, letting go of resentment and freeing your heart. This came up for me a few days ago, and I thought it was something that would be interesting to talk about because I think that a lot of people fester and harbor resentment in their lives. And let me just say it straight up for you, darlings, it will kill you. It will physically kill you. We'll talk a bit more about that in a moment after we look at Saliha's beautiful comment. Thank you so much for all your webinars. They're always great. I appreciate you. Thank you for joining me all the time and sharing with me. I appreciate you and bringing your wisdom, Saliha, because you know, man, you know, Saliha knows. She's got the wisdom within as well. And I think we vibe, right? We vibe very well. So I really appreciate sharing this with you. And anyone else who watches at any point, I appreciate you and I thank you for joining. So resentment, let's have a look at resentment. What is resentment, first of all? Resentment to me is, and by the way, if you know me, I close my eyes sometimes when I talk, it just helps me focus. But resentment to me is when you are harboring inside yourself a hatred, a frustration, an anger at someone else, maybe a situation, but usually involves people of some sort, at least one, and you are holding it in and you are harboring it and you are walking around with it inside you, mulling it over, feeling it, aware of it, and it's eating you up inside, and it's literally toxic, like inside you, festering. That's resentment, in my view, intuitively. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you would say resentment is. I haven't looked at the actual definition. That would be interesting. Should we do that now? I can do that now. Whilst I also talk about, I always like to look at the etymology of words as well. So resentment, bitter. Oh, that's the word, bitterness. Resentment is bitterness, bitter indignation of having been treated unfairly. The last bit of that is very subjective. What is unfair? Probably not the same thing in everybody's book. So etymology is the origin of a word. And I really like to look at that because I think over time we actually lose the understanding and the truth of what words really mean. So it's always interesting to go back and see what things actually meant. So resentment, a deep sense of injury. Oh, look at this. This is interesting. Okay, a deep sense of injury. Then it says, this is not the original, but just the current definition that's coming up here on etymology.com. Or etymoline or whatever. Anyway, it says a deep sense of injury, the excitement of passion which proceeds from a sense of wrong offered to oneself or one's kindred or friends. The excitement or passions which proceeds. Isn't that interesting? Resentment is a passion and excitement when something's been done wrong. That's something to think about because where that leads my mind is what's the payoff? So in psychological terms, we use this word payoff. Everything you do, everything you think, everything you experience, even if it's dysfunctional and messing you up, like resentment, you're getting a payoff. You're getting a win. Something in your psyche is getting a gain from that. When you can really start to face that in yourself, oh, you will transform. But it says it here, there's an excitement and a passion. I think passion means to suffer. An excitement of suffering. We enjoy suffering. Do you enjoy being resentful? Do you enjoy holding on? It gives your ego a boost, right? Oh, look at me and my resentment. That person did me wrong. And it makes you feel strong, albeit an incredibly false and weak sense of strength. It's not true strength at all. But let's have a little look more. Where does this come from? To feel again, resent, to feel again. So again, it's not a new feeling. It's something that you're holding and it keeps coming back to you because you're holding on to it. So that's how resentment festers, because it's feeling it again and again and again. A state arising, this is from Nietzsche. I think he's a philosopher or psychologist, very well known. In the industry, a state arising from suppressed feelings of envy and hatred that cannot be acted upon. That's what I got when I went into it intuitively. It's like it's all inside, but you can't do anything with it. Resentment is like it's inside you, but you're not able to act on it or do anything with it, which is why it's so toxic. Because it's just this toxic energy of resentment and I love what it said there. This is why I like to look at the definition of words, because you will learn a lot of wisdom when you do that. And the fact that it says there's a passion in resentment, there's like an excitement. We love to suffer. We love, some of us more than others, love to be in pain and have a thing to like go against. Like, yeah, I'm resenting that person, I'm fighting against that. And our ego makes us believe that it's some sense of virtue and that it's somehow helping. Darlings, it's not. I'm not saying people haven't done something wrong. I'm not saying that you don't have a right to feel what you feel. I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm not saying that it's all normal, it's all human. But the question we have to ask ourselves, is resentment functional? Is it helping you? Is it healthy? And if not, why would you consider keeping it as part of your experience? Oh, I just did something silly on my phone. I'm sorry. I just pressed something and now, okay, I think we're fine on Instagram. Greetings. We have a greetings there from a name that I can't pronounce. Soshan Ruiz. Welcome, darling. Thank you. Sorry for the awful pronunciation. What have we got here from Saliha? We are giving too much power to people who have hurt us. It's like giving keys to our home to people we don't want there. We have to get that power back by letting it go. It's true. I like that. We're giving the power outside of us, and that's what makes resentment feel so awful, isn't it, Saliha? Because again, you're experiencing it inside you and it's horrible, but the power for it is out there. So you believe that something out there is affecting you and you can't do anything about the thing out there and it's just festering inside you. And look, I have resentments, learning to everyday process them. One of my resentments, let me see. I have resentments about many things of the way I was brought up, and the things that were done to me in my upbringing that were hurtful, painful, abusive. I have resentment for, sometimes I just feel resentful to life of like, why did you bring me up in this culture and challenge and type of life that I've had from my childhood, where there's lots of challenges. I have some resentments. I think I mean, I've worked for a lot of them, but I'm human, right? We all have them. So it's not about saying, oh, you're bad if you've got resentments, or you're failing somehow if you've got resentments and you need to sort of fix yourself and whatever. It's not about fixing. It's really about seeing truth. Because when we resent people, situation, experiences, you're not seeing the truth. You are in a bit of a delusion that somehow, firstly, that the power is outside of you. Secondly, that festering with it and resenting it is going to help you. These are all delusions. Thirdly, that the person or people that your situation that you are resenting, that somehow they should be perfect and somehow they should always be getting things right and making you feel good and making you feel better. They're not allowed to be flawed. They're not allowed to be fallible human beings, imperfect human beings who also don't know what they're doing and may make mistakes and have their own wounds. The other illusions of resentment are that somehow, this is how I experience it, somehow I'm above others. And when they make me feel resentful, it's because they're bad. It's kind of linked to what I just said. They're not good enough and they should know better. They're not as evolved and advanced. That's a complete delusion, illusion, nonsense. So resentment is simply an illusion, a delusion that you trap yourself in with this idea that no one should hurt you, with this idea that no one should do something wrong, that this idea that everyone should be perfect and that you should get off scot-free all your life. And look, at the end of the day, that's not reality. People are going to make mistakes. People are going to do things. People are going to wound you. And the thing about resentment as well is that I forgot what I was going to say. I think I will share a Gabor Mate quote, the legend that is Gabor Mate, and he says, oh, this was what I was going to say. If you have to choose between guilt and resentment, choose guilt. So often we're blaming outside and saying, I'm resentful of that person because they did this, they did that, they did that. Again, illusion. What was your role in it? That's the reality and the truth, because nothing is happening without your interaction. Okay, sure, as a child, fine, you're not consciously aware and able to, you don't know what's going on, and you don't choose everything, or maybe you do on different levels of reality, but basically as a child, fine. But as an adult, if you're still sitting there saying, I'm resentful to that person for creating an environment around me, for giving me an experience, for treating me a certain way, you are part of that equation. Yes, you are. Are you willing to take that responsibility? So this is why Gabor Mate says, if you have to choose between guilt and resentment, choose guilt. What he means by that is often we resent people because we feel like they're trapping us, or they're holding us back, or they've done something, but we don't realize that we played a role in that. So for example, I could put someone else's needs first and put my own needs on the back burner. And then after a while, if not immediately, I will start resenting that person because the fact that I negated my own needs is hurting me, and now I don't feel good. But I did it for them, right? I did it for them, so I'll resent them. And then I'll blame them, but it was me who chose to put myself last. And the reason I did that is because I felt guilty for putting myself first. But Gabor says, choose guilt, momentary guilt, and put yourself first over the long-term resentment that will fester by doing the opposite. And I had a role in that. I can't then blame the other person. Well, I can, my ego will do that. But I've got to see the truth if I really want to grow and develop my life. Because the truth is, I had a role in that particular scenario. I don't know if that's the case for every scenario. We play a very active role in our lives, but I don't want a blanket statement that, like, I don't know what goes on in your lives, right? But the fact is that we play a very active role in a lot of the things, particularly as adults, which we then feel resentful about, and then we just harbor it. Again, resentment for me was all inside. It's like I'm walking around with this toxicity inside me, but not able to do anything helpful with it, because it's not helpful unless you know how to alchemize and transmute the energy and turn it into your gold, which is something that I recommend people learn how to do. Let's take some thoughts from Celia before we go on. Is my face getting any better, Celia? I'm still wonky. My nose is still a bit numb. I don't know, my face is still a bit, by the way, if you're just joining me, I went to a dentist earlier, and basically they numbed me, and then I got on here and I'm like, I can't move my face. Hopefully that's going to go away at some point. Celia says, you feel out of control, you feel like a puppet that's being used and abused. Yeah, I like that. Is that what you got, Celia, when you said about what resentment means to you and what your experience of resentment is? That's it, right? It's like you have no power. Resentment is a lack of power, perhaps. Celia says, we get stuck in resentment and it looks like there's no way out. Yep. You look great. Thanks, beautiful. You're the sweetest. What would I do without you, man? You're amazing. Thank you, darling. But yeah, that's it, right? Resentment is inside, it's festering, it's stuck. As Celia said, you feel out of control, you feel like a puppet, and it's like there's no way out. And the fact is, look, I get it. I'm not saying anything's wrong. I'm not making you wrong for feeling it. I'm not saying that there aren't things that have been like done to you that were bad and unjust. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying that if you want to be free, if you want to master yourself, if you want to step into your power in this world and create a wonderful life, you must learn to let go of resentments, and you must learn to master your own focus and your own being. So the way that I would suggest you do that, the first thing I'm saying, I'm going to repeat, is because you are causing many of your resentments, whether you like to admit it or not. And to alleviate that, you follow the advice of Gabor Mate, is if you have to choose between resentment and guilt, choose guilt. So if you're in a position where you have to make a decision or speak a truth or do something and you feel guilty and like, oh, I feel guilty for doing that, do it and face the temporary guilt rather than doing the opposite and running away from the guilt. And then you'll start to have the resentment inside that will fester inside you. So that's the first piece of advice. Choose guilt over resentment. The other thing that I would like to suggest is that, again, if you really understand consciousness, you'll realize that progress, growth is not about trying to achieve the opposite of what you're struggling against. I'll say that again. Progress and growth is not about trying to achieve the opposite of what you are experiencing and struggling with. If you're living in the world of opposites and fighting what you don't want, you are not actually stepping into your true power, as phrased recently by one of my teachers and by many people who work in what I work in. You're not stepping out of the matrix. So trying to, like, imagine resentment, trying to get away from resentment, resentment on one end, trying to get away from resentment on the other end. It's all duality. It's all part of the construct of the matrix. If you really want to transcend, you need to step up and out of it, see above, go higher. And then we use the higher energy against the lower energy. So if you're like, oh, I've got a lot of resentments and I want to deal with them and I want to let go and I want blah, 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 cool. But don't do it from this place of, oh my God, I've got to fix my resentments and I'm going to try and do the opposite. I'm just going to try and not be resentful. I'm going to try and whatever that looks like for you. To me, the opposite on an energetic sense, the true opposite of resentment is freedom. Freedom, which is why I wrote Free Your Heart. So imagine that resentment again. Just imagine yourself in a resentful state and you're like, oh, and it's all festering. And then imagine like stepping out of that. Imagine you're in a little circle called resentment and you're in it and you're feeling and experiencing it. And then imagine, so like Celia, you were saying you feel out of control and all that's going on. Imagine now jumping in your mind, jumping into a circle next to you, and that's freedom. This circle is called freedom. And as soon as you step into that place, freedom, just absorb that word into your consciousness, freedom, liberation, an open heart, whatever that looks like for you. What's your experience of the energy in that place? So I'll talk to you about what I get when I say I'm stepping into a consciousness, a state of freedom and liberation. And what I get in there is a lot of compassion for other people and myself, particularly people who are struggling in life and do dumb things, and which may have hurt me too. I have a lot of compassion. What I'm also aware of here, when I go for true liberation and freedom, is that that stuff can't touch me anyway, not who I truly am, not in my soul. It doesn't get there. Yes, sure, it affects my mind and my little identity and my ego, but actually whatever anyone else is doing does not even get close to touching the light and the soul and the being that I truly am, which is who I truly am in all time and space, and the power of who I truly am. What else I see when I talk about freedom and liberation is that there's no strings attached, there's no ties, there's no clinging to the past, to people. It's literally physical freedom to go where I want, do what I want, be where I want, to explore the world, to interact with people, to meet different people. It's literally physical freedom in this world as well. It's a lot of lightness, it's a lot of beauty, it's a lot of just lightness in terms of the energy. So freedom, and freedom is joyful. When I'm in this space of freedom and liberation, I'm incredibly joyful, I'm incredibly loving, I'm incredibly passionate and compassionate for people's suffering and my own. And I don't judge, and I don't expect people to make me feel better, and I don't expect anything from anyone, because I understand that we are equal, unique beings on this planet, all going through our journey of growth, all going through wounds, all going through struggles, all at different states of consciousness, and all making mistakes every step of the way. So who am I to judge and sit there and resent you for whatever? It's your journey. and I feel for the challenge of the journey, and I know the struggle. So to me, I'm coming out that now, to me, that is the opposite of resentment. Freedom, liberation, truth. And something that I learned as well, which will be my last tip in my amazing trainings that have changed my life in the last 2.5 years, which, by the way, are run by Natural Success Academy if you are interested in them. The thing that I learned in that course, one of those courses that just transformed so much, is that in a lot of personal development teachings, what they do is they teach you to forgive. I was very reluctant to put the word forgive in this title, although I did want to put it in, but it's very misconstrued. And what I learned that just shifted so much for me is in a lot of things in the personal development world, they talk about forgiving people who've hurt you. And what they do is they put you, or they keep you in a victim state, and then they get you to look at the other person in their victim state. And then from a victim mentality, you're trying to forgive what they did and feel love for them for what they did and let go of what they did. This only keeps you at the lowest level of consciousness and duality and stuck in the matrix. Doesn't work. You don't forgive from a victim mentality. What I learned to do that has supercharged my growth and development and awareness is you rise above the ego and identity and duality and matrix and personality and who did what wrong and I did this and you did that and it hurt me, blah, 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 blah. You rise above that into soul, into spirit, into oneness, into truth. By the way, the person who hurt you also has that in them. The phrase is that I heard, I think someone said this comes from Sanskrit. If you don't see God in all, you don't see God at all. If you don't see God in all, you don't see God at all. Now, seeing God in all is not about going to that bit and seeing, like, people do horrible stuff. It's not about going, oh, they mass murder people, it's okay, I forgive you, you're still God, and that's bullshit. Sorry, I don't really swear on this, but it's nonsense. It's like, no, you done some crazy stuff, that ain't cool. But that is only one dimension of who you are. Beyond that is the soul, is the spirit, is the heart, is the oneness that is within me and within you, and I choose to recognize that part of you. And from there, you don't forgive, you love. There's nothing to forgive. Actually, Gabor Mate said this to me. I was very lucky to actually go and ask him a question in person, in a break on my training with him a few years back. And I went to him and I said, this was 2018, I think. I said to him, what would you recommend for people who are trying to forgive abuse in the past, childhood trauma and abuse? And he said to me, there's nothing to forgive, just become whole. Dude, get that. There's nothing to forgive. I'm hearing it like I'm hearing it for the first time. There's nothing to forgive, just become whole. God, that's why I love this guy. And everything here that's taught by my other teacher, who I absolutely adore as well, William Whitecloud, is the same premise. We don't come, if you want to master this, you don't come down here and be like, oh, you hurt me, did this bad thing. And this person's like, yeah, I did this bad thing. Oh, it's okay. I forgive you. I love you. It's okay. No, it's not okay. It's not cool to do that stuff. But energetically, consciously, let's lift up to who we truly are. See the God in all, the heart in all, the soul in all, spirit in all. And from there, meet. And by the way, you don't have to be together to do this. You send your consciousness to see someone else's consciousness from soul. You meet. You meet. And from there you love. That's where you merge into oneness. Oneness is wholeness. What is the definition of healing? To become whole. That's the definition of healing. Healing is wholeness. So you rise into your wholeness, not your fragmented little identity and ego and broken bits and humanness, blah. Wholeness, soul, oneness, consciousness, energy, spirit. And you connect to their wholeness and soul, not their little personality and ego. Now you're all in oneness. Now you're all in wholeness. Now you are healing. Now you're healed. There's nothing to heal up there, as Gabor Maté said. There's nothing to forgive. There's nothing to heal. You just become whole. He didn't say there's nothing to heal, but it's the same thing. Like wholeness is healing. So that's the name of the game, to become whole in yourself and to see the wholeness in others. And that does not mean looking at don't like that word, not the right word, the wounds and the messed up parts that do messed up things that we all have. It's not about looking at those and trying to go, oh, it's okay, it's okay. No, see it for what it is. Sometimes it's very bad, shit stuff going on, like dangerous things are done in the identity and the ego. So don't delude yourself. Oh, I love you anyway. No, that I was wrong. And you're going to call that out truthfully, but you understand what we are, which is soul, first and foremost. Rise above it. From there you love. From there you are whole. So that's how you let go of resentments and free your heart, by seeing the world from your heart, by seeing others from your heart, by seeing the heart in others. And that is the place of oneness, wholeness, true liberation, true freedom. It takes practice, because your ego, your sense of self, your identity, the very nature of it is to see yourself as separate from others. And therefore, these wounds, these dynamics between us, butting heads and arguments and that can happen because you think you're two separate things bashing against each other. When you come together and realize you're whole, you are one, then none of that exists. And there's nothing to forgive. There's nothing to let go of. There is no resentment. There's wholeness. And as I said, we don't live in that state all the time. I work daily as best I can to go into that state of consciousness, go into that state of consciousness, go into that state. I don't want to live in the matrix. I don't want to live in my ego and my identity and my limited sense of self. Yes, I can't get rid of it. It's here. Otherwise you're dead. You got to have it to be here in this physical world. The physical body, the psychological body, the identity, that's your vehicle. But that should not be the driver of your life. For most people, it is. The soul, the pure consciousness, it should be in the driving seat. So for me, my journey is always about stepping into that and driving from soul, driving from spirit, driving from oneness and truth. And then the mind and the body follows behind as a set of tools, which is here to manifest my soul's truth and vision into the physical reality. And I then program my own matrix. You literally, if you do this kind of thing, you are becoming Neo. You are Neo, busting out the matrix. That movie is very profound, by the way. Tell you a lot about reality, or how this universe works, as far as we know. And I live it. So I say that through, and it actually does work like that. At least I'm seeing the results of that. So there you have it, darlings. That was my little thing for you today. We went on to quite a few things. We looked at resentment, obviously, but a little bit more about the matrix in there. Maybe I'll do a session on busting out the matrix. I think I said to you this last week, I wanted to do a course called Busting Out of the Matrix, an online course, which is literally, so the two levels of matrix, which is your own psychological matrix and your wounds and your beliefs and your limited sense of self and identity and separation. And then there's a physical matrix out there in the world of the structures and the systems and the cultures and the beliefs and the, all the different systems we have that then also form a matrix that we operate in. And then you have a matrix in your mind, which you operate in all limited, all programs keeping you stuck in a certain dimension and experience of life. Whereas you want to bust out of that, whew, imagine breaking the matrix. Imagine. Can you imagine? Oh, it's so exciting. I love it. When you start doing that, I tell you what, you're gonna go there. You're gonna go somewhere. It's liberating. It's what your soul is seeking. Satguru, one of my favorite teachers, um, uh, he talks about what the soul is truly seeking is boundlessness. So the soul is in a bounded psyche and body and finds it very restricting because the nature of the soul is to be boundless, to be free. So breaking out of the matrix is setting your soul free, breaking down these boundaries, these structures, these false ideas and illusions that we think are how life works and who we are. Once you start learning to break that and then reprogram your own matrix from the space of soul and let that come out of you, oh, life gets so magical. Life gets so magical. We got some comments here. We have here Hasina. Hello, my darling. I don't think we've met before. So thank you so much for joining me. For some reason, every time I press the comments, it flickers a bit on the screen, so I do apologize. But I hope you can see that. Welcome. Hasina says, thank you. This was great. I'm very glad that it resonated with you. Thank you so much for being here and watching. This is LinkedIn user. This happens sometimes. I could guess maybe it's a mesh. I don't know. It was last time. Sometimes LinkedIn user doesn't come with a name. This person says, you're on fire today, Pinky. This is really resonating with me. I like that. I'm glad. Thank you. I'm feeling the fire. I'm enjoying the fire. And I think I should do a live stream about the Matrix. Who wants to talk about the Matrix with me? Because it's my favorite. It's my favorite. Yes, maybe we'll do that in a week or two. Hasina also loves Gabor Mate. What a legend, hey? An absolute gem, a beautiful soul, super wise, before his time, but thankfully people are really catching up. Hasina, his latest book is called, he's doing a lot, you may have seen already, but he's doing a lot of tours around the book. His book's called The Myth of Normal. I've only read a little bit of it so far, but it's amazing already. So I highly recommend that, or any of his books. The Body Says No, also one of my favorites. So I'm glad you love Gabor Mate. He's amazing. And I feel so blessed that I got to be trained by him and meet him. And he's just like changed my life. Everything I teach, he's always bedded into my trainings. There's quotes of him everywhere because I just attribute a lot of my growth and work to his absolutely amazing wisdom. And also, as I said, another person, William Whitecloud, teaching all about alchemy and consciousness. And he's all of this came out of that. He's so when we talk about Matrix, busting out Matrix, that's the William Whitecloud Natural Success Academy work that has really changed things for me as well. So Instagram keeps saying pausing, and it's 38 minutes past. Justina says, cool. Thank you, beautiful. I'm going to sign out now. Hey, also, I think my numb face, all this talking might have helped my numb face. As you don't hear at the start. But basically, I was still a bit lopsided. I went to dentist, they numbed my face, and it's all a bit wonky and lopsided. So it's slowly coming back, I think. I hope. Still a bit wonky, but it's all good. So I'm going to leave it there. I love you. I thank you for joining me. I wish you the most wonderful day ahead and weekend. It is 11:11, isn't it? I wonder if that's why I'm on fire. 11:11 energy is coming out right now. And I wish, the thing I wish most for everybody who watches this is that you step into your true power as a soul, as a spirit, as creative consciousness, as the embodiment of God, as an expression of God. They say we are made in the image of God. God is a creator. You are a creator. You have consciousness, creative consciousness going through your body, through your soul, through every fiber of your being. And I would love for you to know that and live it, because that is you and your optimal potential, and that's what you deserve to experience here. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you, darling Cecina. Nice to see you for the first time here. And thanks again for your comments. Everybody take care. I will speak to you next week. I think I'm around next week. Should be. Watch out for the notifications on my LinkedIn or wherever you're watching this. And I will see you again soon. Have a great weekend. Bye.